Türkiye experienced one of its darkest days on July 15, 2016, when some members of the country's military attempted a coup against state institutions. The action was orchestrated by the leader of the Fetullah Gulen Terrorist Organization, but was quickly thwarted. In the end, more than 250 people lost their lives and over 2,000 more were injured. Tanks seized control of the Bosphorus Bridge, now called the July 15 Martyrs Bridge, while jets bombed the Turkish parliament. Thousands of regular citizens poured into the streets that night to resist the coup attempt. 8 years later, thousands of people have been sentenced to prison terms in close to 300 trials. The Turkish police still carries out almost daily operations against Feto. In 2024, so far hundreds of suspects have been arrested, including fugitives trying to flee to Europe. The Turkish intelligence agency also carries out international operations and has made major progress in countries including Azerbaijan, Albania and Kazakhstan. Türkiye is also calling for coup-plotters to be extradited from the Western nations, in which they have found refuge, with the top ones being the US and Germany. Ankara's repeated requests to Washington for Feto leader Fethullah Gulen's extradition have largely fallen on deaf ears, despite the evidence provided to start legal proceedings. And to discuss the failed coup's 8th anniversary, joining me now from Ankara is Murat Aslan. He is an associate professor at Hasan Kalyoncu University. And from Istanbul, Vehbi Baysan. He is an associate professor at İbn Haldun University. A warm welcome to you both, and thanks for joining me on Straight Talk. So, Vehbi, walk us through that day, on what happened on that day and how the coup attempt was averted.
Well, first, everyone obviously have different, not so good memories about it. But I was live on a TV, Turkish television. We started getting news that there was some army personnel over the bridge, which was built in 1974. We thought something probably, they're passing, going, etc. People couldn't really make sense what's happening. And when the news started raining in, that in Ankara there are some warplanes flying over, etc. It was like theatrical, but no one ever thought that something like this would take place. I mean, given the fact that Turkey has really, in a way, unpleasant experience with military coups. At the time that I personally, in the international conferences, defended the idea that this would never ever take place again, but yet it was happening and it happened.
So, Murat, how has Turkey's perception of existential threats changed since that date?
Well, military coup d'etats are actually a bias in the minds of all Turks because of the witnessed attempts or realized ones. That's one fact. On the other hand, July 15th is a different one because it's an attempt of a religiously inspired group who infiltrated not only to army, but all positions of the state. In this sense, the ultimate aim of that attempt was to topple down the Erdogan-led government and build a certain regime that is compliant with their worldviews. In this sense, Turkish people did reject it by the resistance on the very same day. And as you can see on the screen, people even resisted to the tanks. So the reception of Turkish public is important. They rejected it.
So, Vehbi, since then, Turkey's relations with some of its allies have seen ups and downs. How did July 15 mark a turning point in Ankara's political compass as diplomatic relations began to shift?
Well, actually, soon after the failed coup attempt, and luckily, I always say, if would have succeeded, probably you would need about 100 years to root them out. So it was that serious event. But later, it emerged that some ties and links with the countries that Turkey had even good relations. So just least of all, we can say that the coup leader who organized it, masterminded, living in the United States, and Turkey gave, I think, hundreds and thousands of boxes full of evidence saying what had happened that day and requested extraditing this person. So And also some other countries had links and ties with it. So that created, first of all, a serious disappointment in Turkish side, but also, as you said, created ups and downs in diplomatic relations.
So, Murat, what do you think? How has Turkey's efforts to bring to justice those responsible for the failed coup played out so far? I mean, has Turkey got what it wanted in terms of extradition of plotters or handing over the Feto schools?
I believe that it is an attempt of the Turkish government to eradicate the Feto cells, first of all, in the state, because what government called this organization as parallel state organization right after the coup attempt. And second thing, it was an effort that had multi-dimensional undertakings. For instance, that's for sure, the soldiers in the army had to be cleaned up, because once they are loyal to any individual other than constitution, well, it's not the army that they should be positioned, but somewhere else. Or regarding the schools, for instance, of Feto movement, either in Turkey or out of Turkey, doesn't matter. There had to be a clear and committed undertaking to take them and fill with the qualified teachers, and also establish an education mechanism, especially out the country, especially in the ones poorer. In this sense, the overall attempt of Turkish government was first to identify the Feto members, because they were acting secretly. Second, to replace their organization institutions. And third, eradicate them totally, especially from the other countries and also from the positions of the government.
So, Vehbi, what do you think? As Murat mentioned, Turkey engages in extensive diplomatic moves to prevent the terror group's activities abroad, including the schools. How much of a success can we talk about here?
Well, I know personally, Marif Vakfı, the government-sponsored foundation, has Yunus Emre institutions, and they're really actively replacing those schools. Had certain aims even in those countries. And diplomatic ties help Turkey to make these governments to understand how dangerous it is there having these kind of organizations. But I can say, because I was in a project with them, the Marif Vakfı, they're doing a very good job internationally and multi-continents, from Africa to Asia to Europe. They have very well-known run schools, and they're very prestigious schools in these countries. And even we can see them as replacing these schools. Now people prefer to send their children to the Marif Vakfı schools rather than to the other ones. So I can mark it as quite significant achievement and success.
So, Murat, almost more than 17,000 people with suspected links to Feto have sought asylum in the European Union countries, Germany and Greece topping the list. So what do you make of some European countries' reluctance to extradite these suspects or terrorists?
Unbelievable. Why? Because a coup attempt is totally, committed to eradicate democracy, and liberal values of the West, mainly of European countries, rely on democracy, public participation to decision-making processes, and legal acts, not illegal. And well, July 15th coup attempt clearly shows that it was totally against the democratic country, because Turkey has the elections qualifying an individual as the president or parliament member. Well, it's unacceptable. On the other hand, there's one fact. Right after Turkish people observed the existence of Feto members in the universities, think tanks, or companies of the European states, well, people start questioning exactly who supported this July 15th coup attempt. And what we know is very clear. The leadership of Feto is in the United States, so people are a bit in questioning the mood of alliance with the Western countries. In this sense, well, whatever happened on July 15th is a clear indication of, challenge to democracy, and Turkey expects cooperation, dignity, and also solidarity.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.